All right, I'm going to start it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so no participants yet. Maybe give it I'll give it a little bit of time first.
Yeah.
We're already a minute in. I mean, okay, sure. I can just start right now and we can go from there. So,
Sure.
hi everyone. My name's Nathan. I'm the product manager at zipBoard. And today I'm hosting a webinar to go over the submittals process and the best practices with regards to the AEC industry. So let's get started. The agenda for today is pretty simple. We're going to start off with a quick intro to zipBoard as a review tool. Then we're going to outline some of the most common problems that occur in the assembly and submittal phase of the development of a project. And then we're going to go over some best practices that you can do to help kind of avoid those costs and mitigate problems. And then lastly, we're going to have a QA session where people can ask myself or just the rest of the panelists some questions, and hopefully we can answer them for you. So just to start off with a quick intro to what exactly zipBoard is. So zipBoard is a collaborative review tool that facilitates an optimized reviewing experience. So basically we give reviewers the tools that they need to convey any kind of feedback that's most relevant to them on their projects. And we give managers easy ways to, organize that feedback instantaneously and assign it to people. And in this case, your managers would be either your project manager or your architect, and you'd be assigning these back to your GCs or anyone that has submitted it to you. So zipBoard is used across a wide variety of companies in just a whole bunch of different industries. We're compatible with e-learning, web development, consulting, construction submittals, you name it, zipBoard can most likely host and facilitate any kind of feedback that you need. So a great thing about zipBoard is it's a central and secure place for your reviews. So what that means is you can access it from anywhere. It's hosted on the cloud. You can upload content or sync with your DMS, mark up your uploads with a variety of tools. Again, as we spoke earlier, assign it very easily to your team, share it with internal and external stakeholders, and customize your review cycles to improve your collaboration. So that's just a very quick rundown of what zipBoard is. I'm going to jump into now the common problems that are faced by AEC reviewers. So the three ones that we have decided to highlight and point out today as what we've considered to be significant problems are disorganized coordination from miscommunication, slow turnaround times for submittal reviews, and problems with document control in the submittal process. So I'm going to go ahead and start and first talk about the slow turnaround times for submittal reviews. So, having different teams and stakeholders and, project participants, you need to be able to make sure that they're aware of the submittal status, if they've been reviewed or not. And this can often get messy because as we research, each submittal is reviewed on average 7 times before getting approved. And so you're going to have a lot of back and forth between submitting, receiving reviews, implementing it. So poor communication and lack of centralization will elongate the submittal review finalization to roughly 2 to 3 weeks. And so, that eats up a lot of your time, and hopefully you can find ways to kind of work around that. Some of the problems with disorganized communication. So the most common types of communication and collaboration between project participants in the pre-construction submittal phase is via emails, in-person meetings, PDFs, and hard copy sheets. The problem with this is that the information that comes about of these forms of communication are not captured in one easy to access place. So for example, chasing down an email thread can become a nightmare. Combing through PDFs is really inefficient. In-person meetings, while they're effective, they require a lot of time to coordinate, and especially if there's many people involved, and especially if those people aren't necessarily internal in your organization. And lastly, documenting on paper hard copies means that information is slow to retrieve, extract, and disseminate. So overall, there's a lot of friction with these types of communication, especially if you're trying to get your review done quickly. So next, we're going to talk about some problems with the document control in the submittal process. So, there are many different types of project participants, which means they're getting their own set of documents. With that, sharing it becomes difficult, and tracking who has the latest version of what can become quite a headache. And so, that just speaks to the fact that you have, your project owner, your engineer, your architect, and even potentially municipalities all trying to work with GCs or subcontractors. And if you're in the middle of this, if you're the nexus as the project manager or as an architect, this can be quite difficult to manage. So some problems with the document control submittal process. So you have the pretty strong potential for rework. So if feedback isn't of the latest version isn't being used, then your project partners might start working on something that is incorrect for your development, such as sorting incorrect parts or materials. You have inconsistent feedback. So that could come from multiple versions with conflicting feedback. That can be a huge challenge if you can't discern which version is the most recent. You also have complex review and approval workflows with multiple project participants. And so, complex workflows for document review and approval that involves multiple project partners' eyes can make the process time-consuming and challenging to manage, because everybody has to take a look at this thing. You have to send it to one person or maybe two people to review at the same time, and just getting that streamlined in your up to 7 iterations can be quite a process. Managing document version control and ensuring that all stakeholders are working with the latest version of the project documents can be challenging. So again, that kind of iterates the call to inconsistent feedback, just because it's hard. It's very, very difficult to make sure that every version is up to date all the time, unless you're, always on the ball. Lastly, so time-consuming version verification process. So the back and forth involved with trying to get the latest version sorted out of, does Johnny, our GC, have the right version? Do I have the right version? I'm going to have to contact them. They have to contact me. It's just kind of a headache and a nightmare. And all of these things lead to very real, tangible, and intangible costs. So on the tangible side, right, you lose money when there's overtime and inventory is backlogged. But on the intangible side, you also take a toll on your employees through higher stress, decreased morale, and so increased turnover. Additionally, every day your project is delayed is a day you can't use towards any other potential projects or furthering the growth of your business, because you're kind of stuck in limbo. And we can back this up with industry statistics. 60% of general contractors see problems with coordination and communication between project team members, and the issue with quality of contract documents as key contributors to decreased labor productivity. 68% of trade points to poor schedule management as the key contributor to decreased labor productivity. So again, that's where you'd have your delays come in. 21% of the industry has a 21% turnover rate, which is one of the highest rates of all industries just out there, bar none. And 84% of firms report construction costs that have been higher than anticipated. So these problems that members of the industry cite, that these are all problems that they basically can have their roots traced back to the complicated submittals process. So now that we've talked about the problem, I'm going to jump into our main point of discussion, which are some of the best practices that you can implement to try and mitigate the chaos that is the submittal process. So the first being strategies for communication and coordination among project participants when dealing with submittals, tips for effective version control and document management, best ways to manage project participants in the pre-construction phase, so pre-construction, submittal pre-construction phase, and some collaborative tools to enhance document review and approval. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into the strategies for communication and coordination among project participants when dealing with submittals. So what we have here is some best ways you can do this is at the very beginning, assign roles and responsibilities clearly to avoid confusion and ensure maximum accountability. You will want to be able to minimize the number of communication channels you use by project participants to ease recall. So if you're using email and Slack and WhatsApp and text messages, it becomes very difficult to track down what people said where, because you're not sure where to look for it. So you want to make sure that you kind of have it all contained in one place. Number 3 would be assign feedback to project participants as soon as it's been made to reduce lag time. Just get it off your plate and initiate next steps. So this means kind of ideally like automated notification systems. Have your completed reviews be instantaneously sent as a link or notification so that your project partners can look at it sooner and just get the ball rolling, right? And then point number 4, lastly, integrate existing projects and document management tools with markup tools to centralize submittal versions. So that just means have a way to put the review process in the same place as where you receive your submittals, and that way you can stay a bit more organized. Next, I'm going to talk about tips for effective version control and document management. So some of the things that you can do to aid in your version control would be to establish a clear naming convention for all project documents and apply it consistently. So, if you have a standardized naming format, that way you'll know exactly what documents relates to what, as well as having, if they're collated together on a spreadsheet, you'll be able to easily tell where you are on which step, on which version. 2, implement a document review and approval process with clear roles and responsibilities. So just make sure that everybody who's supposed to be reviewing knows what they're reviewing and, when they need to get to it. Store all project documents in a centralized repository accessible to all project participants. So again, that kind of comes with the fact that we discussed earlier about having your submittals come in one place. And ideally, you would also keep everything that's come in one place as well. You may receive submittals in one place, but you don't want to then segregate it and parse it out, because then it's going to be very difficult to track and then recollate together. And lastly, point number 4, sync document management and review. So that just means integrate the review with the document management system to avoid generating extra versions. Next, we're going to talk about the best ways to manage project participants in the pre-construction phase. And so the best ways to manage project participants in the pre-construction phase would be to 1, have all project participants send their submittals to a centralized location or platform. So again, you're essentially eliminating the need for you to manage them. If you have a system where it all goes in one place, you're just looking after the system and you're not managing individuals saying, hey, where's this document? Hey, where's that document? Point 2, establish an automatic notification system that updates all parties involved on what stage the submittals are in. So that way, again, you don't have to do that legwork of, hey, I'm done. Hey, can you please look at this? Hey, where are you on this review? Just have that system in place, and that way they can take care of it. And then 3, make a system that connects questions about requested changes with the original comments to prevent losing important discussions. And so what that really means is have a system that ties any kind of clarifying feedback initially requested changes to ensure that relevant conversations aren't lost, right? Your GC might be seeking clarification on a review comment that you've made. And so it's kind of important to keep that tied to the initial comment you've made, as opposed to if they text you, hey, Johnny, I saw your review. I'm curious about this. And, you text back and forth. Maybe you also have an email communication in there with a PDF or some other kind of drawings to clarify. You want that all in one place. You don't want the dialogue to diverge away from a singular place. because then it just becomes very difficult to keep track of those changes, that conversation, and if those changes have been implemented or if they really are necessary. So lastly, we're going to talk about some collaborative tools to enhance document review approval. Here are some of the top collaborative tools for enhancing your document reviews and approvals today. So in the industry right now, there's Bluebeam, there's FieldWire, there's Procore, and as you'll see shortly, zipBoard. We actually fit in quite well within this process for you guys. And the reason behind that is simple. zipBoard as a product can do project management. There's very easy versioning control. There's markup tools. We don't charge our users for extra, for extra accounts, basically. So if you have 10 reviewers, 20 reviewers, 100 reviewers, there's no excess charge on that. It's all kind of baked into our pricing model. We are also able to integrate with other tools, such as like just any other submittal tools. For example, one of our clients receives their submittals through SAP. So we've integrated with them to have our review tools overlay on top of their submittals. But lastly, so the one thing that we're a little bit that we can improve upon perhaps would be mobile usability. Right now, it's mostly just for project management purposes. So the actual revision and markup side is lacking in the mobile version, but that's something that we're working on. And as you can see, compared to our competitors in this industry, Bluebeam, they're great. They're great for version control and they're a great markup tool. But they're missing the project management side of things, right? FieldWire is excellent for project management, version control, markup, but they don't really integrate with anyone. As for Procore, there's good project management, great version control, but you can't mark up directly on Procore. So these are some of the things that we feel like are potentially missing in the industry and where we feel like we slot in quite well. A good case study that we can talk about here is one of our clients based out of Dubai. They work on several thousand documents a year, over 60 projects, and they've been using zipBoard quite successfully, as I kind of spoke earlier, integrating their submittals platform with our review technology to just basically lubricate the process and avoid all this rework that has to do with having your submittal marked up either manually or with some other software that doesn't tie in nicely with their document management system. So that's it for the presentation as of now. I'm going to open the floor to anyone here for any questions in the last 10 minutes, and hopefully I can address any questions or concerns you have. I'm going to wait for like maybe 30 more seconds to see if someone's in the middle of typing. Okay. Give it 10 more seconds. Oh, here's a question. One of the main concerns is backward integration into the DMS. How does zipBoard do that? So we can basically integrate through APIs into your system. I guess I would have to get a bit more clarity on what your system is and have my lead developer speak about it with you. Bhavya, are you able to cover this more in depth?
Hi, yeah. So there are multiple ways to manage that, and of course, it's very dependent on your document management system as well. But we do have APIs which give you access to the to our APIs so that you can call the document and upload it in our system or keep it on your document management system, but have it review within zipBoard. So in fact, maybe Nathan, you can quickly show what that looks like. So even if it was hosted on your document management system, we'll create a connection between the document management system and zipBoard's projects, which will be all automated using APIs. And then for the review process, you can still keep using zipBoard as if that layer did not exist.
Yeah, so in that case, won't there be no tracking of data in the DMS for that specific doc?
So no tracking of data. We do, yeah, like your data remains and your document remains on the, I'm just trying to understand a little bit more here. The data and the document remains on the document management system, but all the tasks and the comments and all the review happens in zipBoard. And there are ways to in fact ping back and actually get all the data, all the tasks and issues also in your document management system, but that really depends on how flexible the system is as well. But we have APIs to call them back to your system as well. Does that
satisfy your question, Akshay? Is that data reflecting back to do any review specifically pertaining to maintain the ISO audits and other audits?
You know what? We can take that offline and understand a little bit more from what kind of data you're tracking and what would be required in the ISO audits as well.
Okay.
That will help understand. But yeah.
Sure. So Akshay, how about we connect sometime next week. I'll try and send you an email and we can go from there. Got it. Perfect. All right. Are there any other questions? Maybe I'll give another 30 seconds if people are still typing.
Nathan, in fact, do you want to show quickly what the dashboard looks like? As in like the, one space for all the documents and the collaborative space and how the review looks like? Maybe a quick 5 minutes.
Sure, I can do that. Here, let me bring it up.
Sorry to put you on the spot, yeah.
Yeah, my keyboard is unresponsive. What is going on? Oh, there we go. Sure. So this is the view that I can share this view of at least the internally what it looks like.
Still on the same slide.
I probably shouldn't share the EOs. Right. So
right.
It would just be what it looks like in zipBoard. So let me go ahead and share this screen. And hopefully I can minimize this. So this is what zipBoard looks like as a project. I'm going to go ahead and just create, or actually, no, that would be a bit chaotic. Why don't I just go and create look into workflow demo. So if you were to create a project, here's how this would look like. You can set up various workflows for your review. Here's actually a really good example because you have versions. So version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4. So this is what we were talking about more with versioning control. And so what that means is when you're in here, you can launch a review. You can facilitate your review. So I don't know, you can say, move this. And so the great thing about that is, let me move this down out of my way. Your comments now get captured as a task here. There's some data about the file that it's on, and you can go ahead and assign it to people. So currently I'm the only one in this project because I had to whip it up really quickly. But you can assign it to team members on your project. You can also So for these uploads, we're talking when we're talking about linking your submittals to zipBoard via APIs, it would be through hosted PDFs. So you would be able to basically generate a share link in your DMS for your submittal. So as soon as it gets uploaded into whatever DMS you have, a share link can be generated, and we can call that share link via APIs and add it as an upload here. So that way you can launch your review, have your markup done here. You can take this very easily. You can copy the share link, send it out to anyone else that needs to mark it up. So if I were to paste the share link here, I'll also have access to what I just saw. Oh, yeah, give me a second. So this share link gives me access to view prior comments, so I can see what other people have made. I can also go and add my own comments on it now. In here, you can restrict that depending on what kind of permissions you want. And yeah, so overall that feedback would get captured here. And if you're talking about perhaps having the feedback to your DMS, I think that's something we can work on via APIs, if I'm not mistaken, Bhavya. Or
Yes.
let's say you have another task management tool. We integrate with several task management tools. Obviously not in construction, but for software, we integrate with Jira, for example. And so these tasks get sent automatically into their system, and they can just, mark up, use our platform as a markup, and then just get all the relevant data back within whatever tool they are most comfortable with. Does that help, Akshay, a little bit? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well then, does anybody, if no one else has any other questions, then I might conclude this webinar a bit early. Unless Bobby or Griffin, do you have anything else that you think I should add?
I think it's a wrap.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Then I'll reach out to you, Akshay, and we can get a dialogue going. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.